right, well, it's time to get started, so we'll get started. So before we dive in, I encourage you to tweet the fact that you're here. Let everybody know. You guys are the only people here, so you got to tell everybody else. So you could start with, if you don't hear from me after today, it's because Personified Feng Shui'd my mind at ASE. Or ladies, if Personified shoes are any indication of the quality of his presentation, this thing is going to be awesome. We can ask more about my shoes at the Q&A session after we're done. And if you don't like those, you can create your own linguistic porn and tweet it to your audience. Feel free. Also, you guys can follow along with today's presentation on your iPads, laptops, whatever the hell you got. You can follow along at, you can't see that URL because it's tiny, but I wrote it bigger here, personified.com/speaks. I've got a list of my presentations there. This one's called How to Feng Shui Your Website and Turn Traffic into Customers. It might be helpful if you follow along there because some of this stuff will be too small to read maybe. And before we go all the way into the presentation here, I want to set you up with one focus thought, something to think about today, that will help you derive maximum value from the stuff that we're about to talk about. And here we go. You guys good on the URL for following along? Everybody cool? No? I'll wait.
Did anyone get it? I got it.
Yeah, nothing happens.
At personified.com/speaks. I just clicked on it. There it is. It's Pearson. Yeah. Now we're good? All right. So before we begin, I want to set you up with this focus thought. Here it is. Focus on this thought today. The Feng Shui principles that we're about to learn will provide you with a game plan that you can use to improve every decision that you make in anything while maintaining a laser-like focus on your goals. So this is not just about websites. It's not just about Feng Shui for your house. It's about everything. This is an approach that you can take to decision-making that is very effective and will help you get, it will help you focus on results and get those results. So in other words, this is going to help you focus and get results like a ninja. So I think we're ready. Let's get started. All right. How to Feng Shui your website and turn traffic into customers. And my name is Chris Pearson, by the way, but you guys probably already knew that. So in its simplest form, Feng Shui is concerned with the flow of energy through a physical space. More specifically, the goal of Feng Shui is to direct this flow of energy in such a way that it is both appealing and facilitative to humans. Simply put, Feng Shui is a human-centric art form with a clearly defined purpose. So we can look at this little picture of the room here. This is this little Feng Shui bedroom. There's two things going on in this bedroom. We've got a bed here on the left. We've got a sitting area with a bay window on the right. And there's only a couple places. There's a big open floor space here. And so that's where the humans in this room are going to likely to travel, in this open area. And they're invited straight back into that bay window with the chair. And then the other place that they're likely going to go is the bed. So got a nice little energy flow in there. Couple goals, goal to get over to the bay window, goal to get in the bed. Yeah, it's a nicely Feng Shui'd room. We're going to talk about exactly what's going on there in our prezzo today. So, but what does Feng Shui have to do with websites? We're talking about houses and rooms. It's weird. Well, here's what it has to do with websites. Building a successful website requires many of the same techniques and considerations as Feng Shui. After all, if you're going to turn traffic into customers, then you're going to need to direct your visitors' energy into places that benefit you, such as signing up for your email list, buying your product, taking action on your recommendations, which would be like affiliate sales, which is why most of you are here. So in short, if you're going to build a successful website, then you are going to need to direct your visitors to take action, specifically. Indeed, their action is your success. Feng Shui provides us with a set of principles and tools that we can use to direct our visitors to take these desired actions. So that's huge. It's a framework for getting people to do what you want. So to begin our journey, let's delve a little deeper into this metaphor of physical Feng Shui, like that room we just looked at a little bit ago. And we'll start by looking at a Feng Shui diagram for a simple room in a house. So here we go. This whole thing doesn't fit, so I'm going to shrink it up a bit. And if you guys are following along, do the same. So can you see what's going on here? We've got a room, a simple room. I'll come over here. Well, I'll just talk loud. So we got a doorway at the top of this room. We've got a doorway in the lower right-hand corner. It's just a little square room. We've got these brown things. These are couches and chairs. Pardon my artistic talent there. And we've got a coffee table in the middle and a happy little tree in the upper left, a little plant in our room. Okay, and the pink stuff is the flow of energy through this room. All right, so basically this is just a simple room diagram. We'll revisit this in a second. So the diagram above is a simple sitting room. The focus or goal of this sitting room is to drive human visitors to the couch and to the chair to encourage interaction, conversation, and comfort. That's the goal of the room. So to achieve this goal, the furniture must be arranged in such a way that the energy in the room flows freely and suggestively around the objects of interest, the couch and the chair. So Feng Shui gives us 3 key components that we can use to make that goal a reality. So here we go. These are the 3 most important points we're going to talk about today. And we're going to repeat this mantra time and again. Here we go. Number 1, focus. The goal of the sitting room is to encourage conversation, interaction, and comfort by suggestively driving humans to the couch and the chair. To ensure that we achieve the intended result, we must approach this goal with an unwavering, single-minded focus. The goal of this room is to get people to sit in the couch and the chair. That's the only goal. There is no other goal. The elements. Number 2, elements. So number 1 is focus. It's like, what are we trying to do here? Number 2 is elements. Elements are what are we going to use to achieve this goal? In this case, the elements are the physical dimensions of the room plus the furniture in the room. Our job is to arrange these elements in such a way as to dictate the intended flow of energy in the room and to achieve the desired goal. In other words, our job is to arrange the furniture so that humans want to sit down in the couch and chair and interact with each other. And then number 3, so number 1 is focus, number 2 is elements, number 3 is the flow. And the flow is the actual flow of energy through the room. Not which, this is what actually happens as a result of where you've arranged all the elements in the room. It is not happenstance. On the contrary, the flow is derived from the elements in the room, like I just said. So the flow determines how well we are able to achieve our focus. If the flow in the room is poor, then we're not going to get the results we wanted. No one's going to sit in the couch. No one's going to sit in the chair. No one's going to interact. We're not going to achieve our goal. So flow determines how well we are able to achieve our goal. We can use the elements in the room to bend and twist the flow in order to achieve maximum focus. So we are going to use those elements to achieve the flow in the room that we want. So now that we've seen how this stuff works in houses, let's see how it applies to websites. Before we do that, let's revisit this diagram. Bam. So what's happening here? You got energy coming in the top of the room. You got a coffee table in the middle, and you got a couch in the corner, and you got a chair up here. Basically, the flow is unimpeded. As it comes in the room, it divides around that round coffee table, and it sends you, one path of the flow in the room is to go over to the couch, which is what we want, and the other one goes right past the chair, which is another item of interest there that we want. And that flow goes unimpeded and then out the door. And so it's taking people, anyone who comes in this room is going to be naturally guided past the very objects of interest that the goal for the room. So in this case, Feng Shui achieved the desired result. So now let's look and see how this applies to websites, because that's a bit of a leap. So, but before you can apply Feng Shui principles to your website, you actually have to have something to apply these principles to. Essentially, a house is a combination of 2 main components, a foundation and then the rooms that sit on top of the foundation. As we just saw, Feng Shui is something that can apply to rooms, but we can't have rooms without a solid foundation underneath. Therefore, we've got to start with a solid foundation before we can even think about applying Feng Shui to our website. So based on this knowledge, we're going to build our house on the web from the ground up, and we'll start by focusing on the key elements of a strong foundation. This is the stuff you got to have on your website, or it's not even worth talking about the rest. So, foundation of a successful website. Attempting to optimize a website that doesn't have a solid foundation is an exercise in futility. If you don't cover the bases below, the rest of the information we're going to talk about today is utterly useless. So you got to do this. You got to do this first and foremost. This is key. You must nail the fundamentals. And from there, you can then make the optimizations and tweaks, like the Feng Shui stuff, that is going to take your site to the next level. It's going to get you those emails, going to get you those sales, going to help you, build your business. A strong website foundation consists of these key components. Number one, perfect semantic HTML markup, and basically the underlying code in general. Great code underneath your website. That's a solid foundation. You got to have this. That's a huge can of worms, obviously. I could talk about that for an hour if we wanted. But the bottom line is there's a lot of software out there these days. Theme frameworks, you might have heard that phrasing. That's really the most popular one going around. But if you have a theme framework, something that is designed to be perfectly optimized for search engines, then you don't have to worry about that technical overhead there. That problem's already solved for you. That problem's already solved for you. All the code underneath your website, it's a finite thing. Like, there's a zillion websites out there, but search engines are looking for very specific things. And those very specific things are repeatable. And because they're repeatable, software should exist to solve these problems for us. It's not something you have to think about every time you start a new website. You just put the software in there that's designed to do that, and then you're done. So that's beautiful. That's what theme frameworks are. I highly recommend you run your site on a theme framework if you are not doing so already. Number two, another thing that's a key component of a strong website foundation is optimizations that focus on fast loading times and a smooth, pleasant user experience. Your whole business online is dependent upon you drawing in customers and visitors and getting them to take whatever action you want them to take. If your site is slow, hard to use, ugly, these are all things that are going to drive people away. So you got to do this. You got to do these things right. You got to have fast loading times. You got to cater to users to what they're accustomed to seeing. So, like a good example here is Google in 2010 did a bunch of things to promote optimization all over the web. They host JavaScript libraries that they encourage people to link to increase, to make your pages load faster. They introduced instant search last summer. So now when you type in your search, you got instant results. You don't have to wait at all. And so what the effects of that are that users are now conditioned to be receiving instant responses on the web. They are expecting their information right away. If your site takes forever to load, people aren't going to wait 3 seconds to see what you have to say. They don't care. They're used to getting their information right away. So you got to give it to them right away. So definitely strive to have fast loading times and a smooth, pleasant user experience. Third point of a solid foundation is to focus on important SEO details, such as having unique title tags on every page. This is stuff that shows up in search engines. When you search, just do a simple Google search, the blue links that show up are the title tags associated with whatever page is showing up in the search results. So this is something you obviously have to do. Like that is it's advertising. It's a chance to, it's like copywriting. It's a chance to pull people in based on what you're saying. You got to have unique title tags and other important SEO details to make sure your site is ranking well. This kind of goes with point number one, the perfect semantic HTML markup and underlying code, because most theme frameworks, good ones, and there's some WordPress plugins that'll do this too, will allow you to have those unique details without having to, you don't have to know a whole bunch of technical stuff. You install the software and then fill in a field and you're done. It's easy. So the fourth component of a strong website foundation is an email list. Now, somehow this is still surprising to people in 2011, but the bottom line is you've got to have an email list. These are your customers. These are the people that you interact with one-on-one to help grow your business. You must have an email list. If you don't, that's the first thing you should do when you leave here today is set up an email list and start running that on your site and trying to get people to sign up for it. It's key. There's a whole slew of information on email marketing out there. I'll give you a couple of places you can go to at the end of this presentation for more on that, but suffice it to say, you got to do that. That's a component of a strong website foundation. The last component of a strong website foundation is products, affiliate offers, or calls for donations. In other words, direct revenue streams, ways to make money. Because obviously you're not going to keep running your website if you're not making any money. It might be a labor of love for now, but in 3 months it's not going to be anymore. So you got to have a way to sustain your website. Products, affiliate offers, or calls for donations, those are the 3 best things. And really, calls for donations a distant third. People don't really donate. You got to make them take action. So, now that we got that out of the way, once you have a great foundation in place, you can start tacking on the rooms of your website that will serve as the basis for achieving the stated goals of your site. So the rooms of your website, those are just pages. All the pages on your site are rooms. So we'll talk about that. So next up is the rooms of your website where users come to take action. So really, that's just fancy speak. The pages of your website are where users are going to take action, and either they're going to take the action that you want, or they're not. It's real simple. So every page on your website is a room where visitors can come to take action. The question is, how many of these pages are optimized to encourage the user to take an action that is beneficial to you? For many people, this idea suggests a complete rethinking of the way they view their websites. Most people don't create pages under this notion. They just write a new blog post, hit publish, and done. Didn't even give it another thought. But the truth is, your page, there's a goal for that page, and if your whole page isn't set up in a way that's conducive to that goal, then you're not doing as well as you could be. And that's something to think about, especially if you're trying to sell products, get people to sign up for your email list, whatever. So in keeping with our mantra of focus, elements, and flow, here's what you should ask yourself every time you create a page on your website. Number one, what is my goal for this page? What's the focus? You got to have a goal for a page. Otherwise, why are you even creating that page in the first place? There's got to be a goal. Number two, what elements do I need to achieve this goal? And this is really a key question. This is probably the one people are least accustomed to asking. Because for most people, like I said, you just create a blog post and hit publish. You don't even think about the elements that are going into play there. The reality is, you hit publish, and that new post goes up on your site, and you've got your content here on the left. You've maybe got a sidebar over on the right with 500 links in it, a bunch of graphics, a bunch of distractions. Those are elements on that page, but are they related to the goal for that page? Probably not. And so that's something to think about. We're going to look at that in more detail when we look at some live examples in just a second. The third question you got to ask yourself every time you create a page on your website is this: what is the flow of this page like? What path is a user likely to take through this page? And moreover, is that path laser focused on my goal for this page? It's a key question. Most of the time, for most people, for most pages, the answer is nope, this isn't related, nope, this isn't related. A lot of stuff on your pages is probably not related to your goal for that page. It's huge. All right, so now, with that in mind, we're going to look at some examples of pages that are crafted around the points listed above. So we're going to look at some pages that are done right. You'll be able to contrast those with the pages on your site. We'll perform a quick feng shui analysis of each page to figure out why exactly these pages are successful. So let's do it. So some pages that encourage users to take action, because that's really the bottom line. For your pages to be successful, you need to encourage users to take some kind of action. Could be reading your blog post, I guess. I don't know what benefit that has for you, but it could be signing up for an email list, selling a product, acquiring a donation, getting people to take action on whatever you recommend, whatever it may be. That's your goal. All right. The first page we're going to look at is a page from my business site, and it is basically the goal of this page is to get users to sign up for an email list. That's the goal. And we have to do that, we have a special offer on this page where we're giving away a free report with some awesome information that is going to help elevate people to a new level. So here's the page. It is a page with an ebook. It's a pretty standard page. We've got a little hello bar at the top, got our standard navigation bar with our logo, a couple links to some key pages, and then we've got one column centered on this page. We got a big headline. You're not missing this headline. This is the only place to go. We got some copy. We got a picture. Got some bullet points. And at the very end, we have, bam, an email opt-in form. Okay? So let's go back to the top real quick. There's a couple key points I want to make here. Number one, the web is a top-down medium. That means when people come to your site, they're going to go from the top down. Their flow, which we talked about with Feng Shui, their flow is naturally going to be top down. Now, where you place the elements on the page and what you place on that page is going to determine how smooth that flow is from top to bottom. It could be very jagged left to right, as we'll see. We'll look at an example of that in just a bit. It could be very smooth, very conducive to leading the user right down through that page. But there's all kinds of ways that can be broken up, and ways that can go wrong, ways you can direct users' attention to places where you didn't want it to go. And so we'll take a look at that here with this page and with a bunch of other ones. So here, like I said, we've got a one-column layout. So noting that the web is a top-down medium, with a one-column layout, people only have one path to take through this page. They're not looking left and right. They can only look from the top down. They got one place to go, and this is it. They see the big headline in the center. They see this image. They've got a nice, small little piece of content here that draws them in, and now they're reading. There's no other distractions. They're not looking left. They're not looking right. They're going straight down this page. They're going to see some bolded text. They're going to see some bullet points. And they keep scrolling, and bam, they see our opt-in form. There's nowhere else for them to go. In fact, I even took the links. We normally have links in the footer here, and I removed the links from the footer on this page because I don't want to offer these people an opportunity to be distracted and to click off this page. I got a goal here. I want them to sign up for this email list. So that's a good little starter here. But one thing to note here, why have the one-column page? Well, obviously, one column reduces distraction. If you have two columns, people are looking at one column, then looking over at the other one. But I like to offer an analogy here and relate this to books. Think about books. When you read a book, you're engaged on that book. Your attention, your focus is high, right? Because you've got this book. There's nothing else you can do. All you can do is read the words on the page. There's no sidebar. There's no links and stuff to click on. There's no distractions. There's just the words on the page, and you're going to read them because you've got nothing else that you can do. Well, I say that you should apply that same principle to the pages of your website. If you want people to read and to sign up for your stuff or sell your product, don't offer people options to do other things. Because, I'll talk about this in a second, but here's the deal. If you give people options, if you give them a way to sever their attention span, by God, they will do it. Every time. And sometimes in really surprising ways. So let's look at another example. Second example. This page is called the 3-step formula for getting more traffic. The goal is to get visitors to opt into an email list. And there's a secondary goal here too. Is to get users to buy a product that's mentioned in the video on this page. So we'll look at this page. Bang. Here it is. It's a different site. Got just a logo here. No navigation menu even. We've got a headline, big and in the center. And we've got one column, again, just like that last one. No opportunity for distraction. We just got so we got the video at the top, an email opt-in form underneath, and then a big comment section underneath. And that's the only elements on this page. And so if we look at this from the focus elements flow context, the goal was to get people to watch the video and opt into the email list. All right, but the elements are what we use on this page to get people to do that. Basically, what we've really done is remove elements. There's no navigation menu on this page. There's a headline right in the middle that grabs their attention. There's a video immediately after that gets their attention. So headline, video, email opt-in box. You need that to get people to opt in. That's the goal for the page. And then we've got some comments underneath to encourage interaction. But those are the only elements on this page that we're using to achieve the goal, because those are the elements most relevant to the goal of the page. Nothing else is needed, so therefore it's not here. And the flow of this page is top down, directly top to bottom, no opportunity for distraction. That's going to help achieve the goal efficiently. So I keep selecting with this thing. So that's another example of a one-column page there that doesn't offer any opportunity for distraction. So let's look at a different kind of page. Now we're going to look at a new customer sign-up page. This is from my site also. And the goal of this page is to get users to enter their information into a form so that they can proceed to PayPal to pay for my product. So let's look at that. I'll pull up another page too real quick to contrast this with. All right, so here's a normal page of my site. And like I said, we've got a navigation bar at the top, clickable logo, navigation links over here. It's really a 2-column layout once you get down here. We've got that sidebar thing on the right. Scroll all the way down. We've got a footer. We've got a little thing about our affiliate program, little blurb. And so there's a lot of stuff to click on, a lot of stuff to see on this page. You go to our pricing page, though, things get a little bit different. Still got our navigation menu, still moving traffic around. Now we got a huge headline in the center. Two products basically to buy, 2 options. some social proof, some bullet points, and then a footer, but now there's no link in the footer. I used to have that same affiliate link on the bottom of this page, and I was looking at stats one day and realized that on this particular page, that link had 31% more clicks than it did on any other page. I was looking at that, I was like, why is that the case? Like, it was a huge data anomaly versus every other page in my site. Well, I got to looking at it and realized that, there's no links on this page. There's no way, the only thing you can do here is click on the navigation menu or the logo or click on the products to buy. There's nothing else to click on. And so what the deal is, people were scrolling through this page, getting all the way to the bottom. They had no way out. I offered them a link in the footer, and they were taking it to the point of being a statistical anomaly. And so that's why I said earlier, if you give people a way out, by God, they're going to take it. And so if your goal is important to you, you got to seal these leaks. Don't give people an opportunity to escape. And so now let's look at my sign-up page. Up the ante even more here. I still got this familiar bar at the top, but now the logo isn't even clickable on this page. And there are no other links in this sucker. Nothing. There's a picture. It's not clickable. Go down to the bottom. No link in the footer. All you can do is fill out this form, buy my product, hit the back button, or die. You got no other choices. And that gets the job done. The conversion rate on this form went up something like 50% as soon as we got rid of all the links on the page. And that's huge, This is getting people to take action. But I do want to point out, there's some issues here. If we start to, so that's, that was about the links and about distraction and everything. But if we actually look at the flow of this page, there's some problems. And so we can talk about those. So as I said, the web is a top-down medium. And you really just want to take people right from the top of the page down through the bottom, minimal distractions, and keep them on task. Well, this form is interesting, and forms in general are pretty interesting. But keeping with the notion of the web being a top-down medium, look at this here. We got this is like the label for the form fields. We got the labels on the left, and then the information's over on the right. So here we got select products, and you have to look over here to see what you're actually selecting. And you go down here. So like right now we're like zigzagging. Look at your name. There's a couple boxes here. First and last name. Okay. This is terrible. People screw this up all the time. They put both names in the first box, don't fill out the second one, put both names in both boxes. There's all kinds of mistakes that are made here. It's ridiculous. But that's my fault because I didn't design this form very well. So they do this. They look back over here at email address. They go over to the right. Look left, look right. So like we're zigzagging down the page. That's terrible flow. That's not top down. Now they're doing this number, trying to figure out your page. And a much better form design for the flow of this page will be to have the form labels directly above the items with which they're associated. That'd be way better. That encourages top-down. That does not force the user to go back and forth and figure things out. It just leads them right through the page. It's like walking them through with a leash. And that would be a way better design for this page. And indeed, we're going to change this up in a couple months. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see conversions go up once again because people and mistakes in the form will decrease because it's going to be much more clear what people are supposed to do.
Why do you have all the images on the right?
So this is another, that's a great question, thank you. So here's the deal. When people get stuck with white space on a web page, the natural reaction is to put something in that space. It's what everybody wants to do. I used to do freelance design for people. You'd leave a blank hole in a page, and the first thing the client would say is, can you put something there? And the real question you should ask yourself is why? Why? Is it related to the goal of the page? If not, then no, we're not putting anything there. Sorry you don't like the white gap. I like results. And so, the truth is, I wanted something there because it was a blank hole in the page. I'll probably get rid of it in the future iteration of the form. It doesn't need to be there. Although, I will say this. We did want to reiterate on this page that there's a money-back guarantee, and it's good to reiterate value propositions and stuff like that at the moment people are filling out a form because they're looking for reassurance around a button that they're going to click on that's going to make them pay for something. So, in my defense, that's really why that's there. However, it's debatable as to how effective and important it really is. All right. So that's a different kind of page right there. Now let's look at another page. So you guys are probably familiar with category pages on your website. The auto-generated things, a bunch of links. But so we're going to look at a different example of a category page, one that I think is far more effective than the category pages that you're probably used to. So here it is. And the goal of this page, by the way, is to establish an authoritative position by providing users with a clear, concise, and actionable list of information about how to nail the fundamentals of SEO with WordPress. So it's really a category page about SEO for WordPress, but we've done it up in a little bit different way to get people to do what we want. And there's a secondary goal here too. We want people to sign up for our email list. So here it is. So once again, we have that familiar one-column layout now. Not a two-column layout. I only want people to focus on one thing on this page. We got a headline, we got a subtext, subheadline, we got a picture, and I'll talk about the what's going on here in just a second when I get to some more tips for elements that are going to enhance the flow of your page. But so suffice to say, we got a little bit of intro text there. Search engines like introductory text. You want to have about 300 words on a page at least, to make it look like there's something substantial there that Google wants you to rank for. That's a big problem with category pages, by the way. Most of your auto-generated category pages with WordPress they just output a list of links to the pages from that category. It's actually no good, and those pages are considered thin by search engine standards because they don't have any unique content on them. It'd be much better if instead of just having a list of links like you see at the bottom, if you had some introductory content above to A, introduce people to what's going to be on the page, and B, like give them a compelling reason to want to look at it. And maybe, set them up with a flow that they can use to follow the links and get more out of it. So that's good for people, good for search engines, good for you. That's a total win. Highly recommend you do this. I'll talk about an easy way for you to do that at the end of this also. Because it's not easy to add unique content to your WordPress category pages. It's a cumbersome mess with most WordPress themes and even plugins. So that's something that we can talk about solving as well. So anyway, back to this. We've got a subsection here with some links, not just a big gross list of all the links from this category. We've got them broken up into easily digestible sections. And then, so we got for beginners versus advanced SEO topics. And then at the bottom of the page, we have an arresting email opt-in box to get people to sign up to our content. So we give an authoritative intro. We give them links to pages that are going to help them out. And then we say, hey, you like this? We got more. Sign up for our email list. Boom. We get conversions on this page as well. Notably, I do have the affiliate program link in the footer here. But that's because we're not going super hardcore here. This isn't like a product sales page. We don't have to go overboard with constraining the link options. But, who knows? Maybe the right answer is to get rid of it on here too. Maybe I don't want people to be able to leave. Maybe I want them to sign up for the email form and get out. Something to consider. So anyway, we got one more example here, and then we'll talk about some finer points. This last example is from the DIY Themes blog. I'm bringing up this last example specifically because I'm sure many of you have questions like, everything we looked at is a one-column page or some kind of weird, page that looks like it'd probably be hard for most people to produce. Showing you this next example because it's an example of normal WordPress theme output with one element added that makes it more effective for getting the results that you want. So this is something that's more attainable by everybody in here today. So the primary goal of this page is to get people to opt into our email list, and the secondary goal is to give visitors the opportunity to peruse some of our most recent blog content. So it's basically just a standard blog homepage. Here it is. Whoops, wrong one. Here it is. All right. Well, I don't know what the blue line's all about. It's me clicking everywhere. Okay, so here we go. Look at this. I only know how to use Macs. All right, so this is just our blog homepage. We've got a Facebook like button, some navigation links, our title, our tagline. But we've got this huge box right here in the middle of the page before all the content. So this is the first thing the user's going to see. Because everything else, you're used to seeing navigation and stuff. On sites, your eyes immediately go to the meat of the page. And whoops, see, look at this. I'm a disaster with a PC. Get me out of here. Okay. So before they get to the content of the page, this is what they're going to see. They see a picture of this white paper that we're offering for free, and they've got a quick little blurb with a few hard-hitting bullet points about how they can get this white paper for free. All they have to, and learn all this good stuff, all they have to do is opt into our email list right here. So we just implemented this 2 weeks ago, and it was pretty interesting. Derek's over here. He knows the numbers. So what exactly happened with that? What was the increase?
I think it was like 57% more emails per day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's epic. We were already getting a lot of emails per day. We're using the hello bar at the top, which is pretty aggressive. Basically sending out the exact same offer there. See, it says download your free 33-page ebook about online conversions. Click here. But that's a thin offer. Like, that's one sentence. Am I really going to be convinced to click there after one sentence? Probably not. Not for most people. But if you show me a compelling image, nice headline, some bullet points, some facilitative information like this, with an email opt-in form and some social proof, 19,725 other people have already signed up. Well, then by God, I might be more inclined to opt in there. And indeed, that's the truth. As he said, we've gone up 57.1% on our conversions. 51.7, there it is, it's right there. We wrote about it. So there you have it. But underneath this is a layout you'll recognize, a standard blog layout. Bam, there it is. Here's a post, got a sidebar with an email opt-in at the top. That's another pro tip. If you want to, if you're going to have a sidebar, the first thing in your sidebar should be an email opt-in form. Like I said, that's a foundational piece of your website. That's important real estate. That's where the eye is going to go. If you're going to have a sidebar, have an email opt-in form at the top.
Left or right?
Oh, sidebar should definitely be on the right. The reason why is because when people load up a web page, naturally, especially in the Western world, eyes immediately go to the left. Okay? So what you want on the left, you could say, well, wouldn't you want an email opt-in box there? You really, that's where you're putting the meat of the page. Okay? And so the meat is really your content. And so instead of having the sidebar on the left, it's really more desirable to have the content on the left. I'll talk about that in a second too. But so in lieu of having the sidebar on the left, which I view as not desirable for getting people to actually read the content, which is important. I want people to read this blog and to want to come back. In lieu of doing that, that's why we have this huge feature box up here.
Let me just follow that up. This is for WordPress, but if you did a typical e-commerce products type site, you need the left nav bar pretty much to go to different categories. And then you have the center, and you have more of a three-column.
Well, I mean, that's okay, so that's a pretty interesting notion that you brought up there. There's this notion of like the prevailing whatever in any market. So like in e-commerce that you have a three-column design. Well, that might be the prevailing notion, but there is nothing about that to suggest that that is the most effective way to do it. Just because everyone does it doesn't mean they're doing the right thing. Here's what I know about most websites. People don't run them after 12 months. So if you're taking your cues from what everybody else is doing, that's your deal. But so the deal is I would experiment with different layouts on that and see what works. See what's most important to you. Showcase your email up front, change the positions of your navigation, limit the choices that you give people with your navigation. That's a huge problem I commonly see with e-commerce sites is they have a zillion links to a zillion products. Well, the issue with that is that people can only handle about 3 to 5 choices at any particular time in their prefrontal cortex. That is literally the limits of their conscious decision-making ability. And so if you give them more choices than that, more than 5, and I would say don't do any more than 3, but if you give them more than 5 choices, you are overloading, you're overloading them cognitively, and most people's reaction is to get out. That's a state known as analysis paralysis, where if people have too many options, they take none, they bail. And so it's definitely something to consider, especially on an e-commerce site. Maybe a more effective approach with something like that would be to identify your most popular products, and then show those, like say these are the most popular products and give people a truncated list of things to choose from there, maybe with a link to extended navigation should people want to delve deeper. Having those secondary navigation pages where people click through from one link to see more products, because like that way people are primed to look deeper. You don't want to give people a ton of choices if they haven't basically made it known to you that they want to look deeper, right? So something to consider for sure. But that's a great question. And so really that's the end of the examples that I had prepared for you guys. But what I'd like to do now, turn over to the Q&A session here, talk about maybe bring up some pages that you guys have in mind that you want to increase conversion rates of, or ask questions about anything we already saw. But ideally, let's look at a couple pages that you guys have, and we'll talk about what we can do to improve the flow. We'll talk about what the flow is on those pages, and we can talk about what we can do to improve that flow. Because improving the flow of any of your pages is going to increase the conversion rate on that page. That's just the way it works. Start here.
I have one question about your opt-in form. I saw it was always
Which one? This one right here?
No, it was the other page.
Oh, okay, on this like WordPress SEO page. Like for instance, the opt-in form here is at the bottom. All right, well the deal is this. This page primarily exists as a resource for people. I want people to come to this page and feel like, well, I send them to this page saying, hey, this is the ultimate resource for WordPress SEO for everybody. And they come to this page, that is the expectation I have set forth for this page. They're not expecting to be sold on an email list. And so I give them exactly what I set them up for. I fulfill the expectation, you know, provide the authority, and just, I know that the natural flow of this page, if people are paying attention and finish the page, is going to take them right down to the bottom. And so this is just something I can do. It's like a bonus for me. You know, I know that the flow is going to take them right down there. I know they're going to see this box. If they like what they saw above it, I'm pretty sure they're going to opt in. It's a good strategy.
But you said it's your goal to collect email addresses.
No, the goal for this page was to establish an authoritative position as an authority on SEO for WordPress. The secondary goal was to get email opt-ins. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, bam.
How do you feel that videos affect flow of the landing page? You showed the second example.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, in a lot of cases nowadays, we just embed the YouTube video player, so the user has the option even to go to YouTube, and you've kind of lost the user. So
Right.
how do you feel that, first of all, video, how it affects the flow, and second of all, using other plugins that might actually distract your user off the landing page?
Right. So video is super arresting, super engaging. People love clicking on videos. So I think as far as the flow goes, that's fine. But you know, if I'm going to have a video on my page, that's going to be the primary element on that page. This is the thing I want people to see. I think that's really the best approach to take with video because, you know, that's crucial. You're communicating with these people directly. That's the thing you want them to see. So from a flow standpoint, that's like the paramount element on the page. That's the one you really want them to see.
Do you think that distracts from the join, or do you think that adds to the convincing factor?
Well,
of action?
it adds to it because he actually references the form in the video. He's like, hey, sign up with the email box below. It's a direct call to action to that form, which is there. So that's a little bit more of a nuanced tactic, but that's definitely the pro way to go about it. And to even have visual indicators like arrows to your form or whatever it may be, that kind of thing really helps. And I could have shown a different page from this site. I'll show you an example of some more calls to action, if you will, or directed opt-ins. So at the bottom of this page, though this is similar to that WordPress category SEO page I showed you, he's got, you know, this is building an email list 101. So this is about information for the user. And there's a ton of information for the user on this page with links to, you know, articles that'll dig in deeper. And then at the very bottom of this page is an opt-in form, and you'll notice there's two arrows suggesting, hey, this is where you go, you know? So that's like pointing to it from the video. That's facilitating the flow. One more point you made, you asked about YouTube videos where people can go off-site to YouTube to view your video. That's why I would never use a YouTube video for anything I was serious about marketing.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
right on. All right. Please repeat the questions. Roger. All right, we got more questions. Here we go.
You have a question on that previous page where you didn't have any links. Would you be penalized from Google because there's no links, there's no way out, and it's a landing page? Would it be considered a hallway page?
All right, he asked, on the previous page that we looked at with the video, would Google penalize you on this page because there's not a whole lot of content on this page? Is that correct?
Well, it's mostly there's no way out, so would you be penalized?
Well, there is a way out. You can click on the header. And also, you can click on links from people in the comments. But besides that, here's the deal. This page was not designed to be a play in Google. This was actually emailed out to a list, to his email list. And so it was really a private thing. He just wants to send people here, tell them about a new offer that he has for them. And for anyone else who you know, if the page gets shared on social platforms, then he's got the email opt-in to get anybody, you know, who's not already on his list to get them on there. And so this page was not designed as a play in search engines and not with that in mind. You know, the goal was to send this out to an email list and to, you know, convert as much of that as possible and to engage with the, you know, people already on the list. All right.
If your main goal was to get the user to opt in, obviously enter their email information, could you do that in other ways? I know you had other content on that page surrounding that form. Could you do like a jQuery pop-up? I'm not, you know, I know it's most, I don't want to get into the coding aspect, but could you present that information in such a way where
Right. So the question, okay, so before I'm clear on the question, are you referencing the page with the huge opt-in at the top, this one? Or are you still talking about the video page with the email?
Forms with the labels on the left and your,
Oh, that one.
on the right.
So on this one right here.
That's right. So clicking opt-in button in the email, you'd be presented with this form. Couldn't you do that by remaining on that same page and display like a big word pop-up, like a color box?
All right, yeah, I got you now. So the question is, if you're going to send somebody to a form or something like that, do you really want to send them off that page to a new page, or could you just have it like a JavaScript pop-up box that allows them to fill it out? And the answer is, either way is probably fine. You've probably seen this when you've been traveling around the web. You've probably seen these, you visit a site, you've been there for about 10 seconds, scrolling up and down, and then boom, a pop-up window comes up and asks you to sign up for their email list. It's a plugin called Pop-Up Domination. I see it all over the place. You guys have probably seen it. So the deal with that is that's actually, and people who use it say, oh, I got like a 300% increase in conversions. Well, it's not rocket science. The reason why that improves your conversion rate is because when that thing pops up, that's what you're looking at. You got no options. The rest of the screen gets kind of grayed out, and all you're looking at is this very concise little block of text with an email opt-in form, and that works because of the focus, high focus, and the flow. There's nowhere else to go. All you can do is look at this. And so there's two common reactions. People either read that, or they're pissed off that they got a pop-up and they click the X. But the bottom line is that does increase conversions, and exactly because it's got a very tightly restrained focus. And so that would work for the form as well. If you really want to, you could split test, like having a JavaScript pop-up form versus a page like this. But as long as the focus is narrow and tight, you probably wouldn't see too much conversion rate difference between the two. It's all about how tight that focus is and how you deal with the flow.
Conversions on like squeeze pages, and just in your expert opinion, like what's converting better right now, like a squeeze page with that you have to opt in to see something, or going directly to a page like the one you referenced with the social triggers with the video, and then doing the same hey opt in below after the video. What's working better right now?
All right, so the question is, what is the most effective way to get opt-ins? Is it through a format like the video with the opt-in box underneath? Is it some kind of specific page layout? What is the best way to do it? And the answer is, it depends. And it really depends on how strong your call to action is. Like with the video, there's a very explicit call to action on that email form. I don't know how well, is that slang?
That was more of a sales video. When I did send that out, I did like $3,000 in ebook sales in like an hour.
Right.
And then I removed the sales link and only put the opt-in form because people were sharing it on social media, and that converted about 15% to email.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, in that case, it wasn't like that video page that we saw wasn't completely tailored to like a fresh opt-in. It wasn't like a cold call, like kind of what you're talking about, like squeeze pages. But he did have a very specific and explicit call to action to the form, the actionable element on the page. He had that on there. That definitely works. Strong calls to action are kind of the greatest indicator of how successful that page is going to be. But you could have a strong call to action, but if it's on a page with a bunch of clutter and like a sidebar and a bunch of other options, well, then people's focus isn't going to be tightly, narrow on that area where you want them to focus. From people that I've talked to, the best converting style for a squeeze page right now is something that is more akin to a two-column layout. This is a poor example, but I'll pull up one that's a little bit better. So there's a lot to talk about here. We'll talk about it. So you got a page with a horizontal, so the web is a top-down medium. If you introduce a full-width horizontal element that appears to be one big chunk, people are going to pay attention. It's like that huge opt-in box I showed you on top of my blog. Bam, this thing. Like, people are going to see that. They're going to look top down, but whoa, this huge thing is interrupting their flow, and they're going to read it. Same is true up here. So you got a big element at the top. This is pretty much the layout for pages that really convert well, except for I didn't do it all right, but we'll talk about that. So you got this huge element at the top, maybe a video or an image. So people start up here. Their flow immediately goes over to the right. Whatever element you got here pictures, description of your product, something else. But then something interesting happens. Beneath this top horizontal element, we've got copy on the left, and we've got a sidebar on the right. So the flow here, though, people go from left to right and then down because there's something visually exciting over here. So for some people who are visually oriented, they would look at this page, start up here on the left, go to the right, and then go down this sidebar. And so if I was really doing this right, I'd probably have some more pictures of my product with captions on those images, because after headlines and subheadlines, captions are the most read items on any web page. So that's an area of high engagement. And I should have, picture with a caption there, maybe some more facilitative information about the product, some benefits that they could receive, and then maybe an opt-in form underneath that. That's for the visual people. So the path for them is around the content on the left there. All right? For the people who are not visual people, a significant percentage of buyers, a majority of women, and there's just a ton of buyers who fall into this category, but they want to look deeper. They want more information. They're not like going to buy on impulse necessarily. They're not going to buy on the goodies that you showed them at the top. They're going to want to read more about the product. And so that's why this copy over here on the left exists. And so an example of a page that has a 2-column flow like that is getting both types of buyers. It's not just one type of flow. This is getting everybody, catering to everybody's little nuances. Some people need more information. Some people just want to see the main points in visual form, and that will help them convert. So for many products, you'll find that 2-column deal with the flow around the content and then the content itself is the highest converting format you can use. But again, I would try split testing that. I love the 1-column layout with extreme focus. I just think that works because people don't have any options. You can tell the story you want to tell, the way you want to tell it, and that's that. I think anything so the question is, you see things to highlight areas where you can take action, like red circles around a form box or yellow highlight or something like that. So he's saying, is that better, worse? Because I'm not using that on my stuff. I'd say anything you can use to draw attention to your call to action, much like the red arrows we saw pointing at that email box, same thing. So it's a visual thing to get you to focus on what you want people to focus on. No, we haven't gone split test crazy with that yet, but I would imagine that would work better. Anything to draw more attention to where you want people to focus on, probably going to help you out.
You mentioned split testing, so how often do you guys run split tests, and how long do you run the test for?
All right, so how often do you guys split test? How long do you run the test for? The answer is not very often. We've done it once or twice. And how long we run the test for? 7 days or something?
Usually 5,000 page views.
5,000 page views. So pretty small sample. So he says you guys aren't always evaluating everything and constantly making tweaks. And the answer is no, we're not. And I actually feel like that's kind of a trap that many people fall into, because basically you're split testing a unique case every time. Your site, your product, these pages are unique. You're drawing a certain demographic of visitor. Every situation is unique. So what that means is you could split test to infinity, and you may eventually nail down exactly what you need for exactly this case, but then when you change your site design, you change your layout, something about your product changes, all the variables are in flux again. And so I think split testing is an opportunity for extremely diminishing returns if you go too overboard with it. And so I'm just cautious to that. I think there's definitely value in split testing, absolutely, but got to use some sanity check there. So real quick, before I'll get back to questions, but I've got 5 minutes. I want to make a couple more points. So there's some things that you can do to facilitate the flow of your pages, some more nuanced things. And we've actually seen some of these. We didn't talk about them. So like on this page, for instance. Dun, 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 dun. All right. So first thing to note here, I'm using a pretty big font size. So size 14 and up, I like size 16. These are more easily approachable font sizes. I can't tell you how many people I talk to who are a little bit older, who complain about small fonts that they can't read. Those people aren't going to convert for you if they can't read what you have. And so instead of trying to feel like it's some aesthetic thing, it's not. It's a usability thing. Pick a big font size that everybody can read. Make it easy for people to consume your content. So you choose a larger font size. I like size 16. I don't see any reason why you should go any smaller, to be honest. This is size 16 here. Second thing, I mentioned it earlier, hinted at it, but pictures with captions. It's the third most read item on any web page. It is an opportunity for high engagement. Now, your inclination would probably be to fill up the caption with information about the picture, but what you really want to do is sell in that space. Sell, tell about a great benefit, offer something compelling in that caption space because that text is going to be read. Another thing is sticking, the credit here goes to Derek on this one, sticking an image at the beginning of your content because it constrains the width that people are going to be reading. And it looks really consumable. So the eye's drawn to the left, they see this small line of text. Before they even had a chance to think about it, they're already reading. So they're already consuming your content. It's a subconscious decision that they didn't even make, but you influenced it by having this image there to make that content smaller and just really easy to read. Bam, right there. You get them into the flow of your content. They're already there before they're asking questions about why they're there. Another thing, if you use an image that is of a face with eyes, like human face, make sure that the eyes are looking at the content or at the action item or whatever it is, wherever you want people to look, because human eyes follow human eyes. If you got somebody looking off the page, well, that's where your users are going to be looking too. So that's another thing to think about. Also, use short staccato-style paragraphs when writing on the web. The reason is the web is a low, people's attention spans are like gnats. On the internet. There's always a new place you can go. There's always a new link you can click on. There's always a reason for you not to be paying attention to what you're trying to pay attention to right now. And so if you write in short staccato-style paragraphs, which means basically 1 or 2 sentence paragraphs, like my new rule is I'm never going to have a paragraph on the internet with more than 2 sentences in it. It's just too much for people to consume. If you write like that, you'll keep people rolling along. They'll just keep reading because it never looks too difficult to read that next paragraph. And this rings true for me. I was reading The New Yorker, like a Malcolm Gladwell article or something like that the other day, and it was intolerable. Absolutely intolerable. He writes in like 15-line paragraphs, and I'm looking at these things like, I still want to read that next paragraph. It's too much work. And I'm sure I'm not the only person who feels that way, even if they're aware that that's what's going on or not. But you write like this, people are going to be reading. Next point, have subheadings to break up your content into more digestible chunks. Many people scan, they don't read. If you're using subheadings and stuff like this, you'll get the scanners as well as the people who are actually reading. And, it's just another way to get more engagement and to facilitate the flow as users consume your content. So that was the last point I wanted to make. I think we're about out of time. I'll do one more question, though, because you had it.
I noticed a couple of examples had the email option was at the bottom, below the fold.
Mm-hmm.
Is the social triggers, do they test that? Is that something that's working better?
So he says, this question came up earlier in a little different context, but he says, I've got email forms below the fold. Is this something we're testing or what's the deal there? And the deal is, whenever the email form has appeared below the fold on the pages that we've looked at, the primary goal of the page was not to get the email opt-in. It was the secondary goal. The primary goal was to look authoritative and to provide people with information that we've set them up. We've established an expectation. Hey, go to this page. You're going to learn. You're going to have all the resources you need for this topic. That's the primary goal of the page. The secondary page is the opt-in that occurs at the very bottom of the flow because we know that they're going to be flowing right down to that opt-in. So there we go. One more.
If people are going top down in your site and they're reading down in these short paragraphs and you're getting them down lower, why would you have the social features on the left? They're going left and right while they go down.
All right. So.
Why would they share it before they like it?
Yeah, understandable. That's a good question. So he asks, on some of these pages where we've got one column top-down flow, we've got social sharing buttons conspicuously placed on the left of the content. That kind of does break the visual flow. I would say that there's really a couple main reasons for that. Number one, having your content shared is probably the best way to get traffic right now. I'm getting a ton of traffic from Google+, from Twitter, and from Facebook. That's epic traffic drivers for me. So I really do want people to share that stuff as much as possible. A lot of people will share stuff without even reading it. And so if you offer that stuff at the top, then you've got a better chance of doing that. And the third reason is those social proof buttons are they're easily recognizable by people who are all over the web. That's like a comfort zone. And since we put it up on the left, that's where the eyes are immediately drawn. So even if they don't go to those right then and they go through the page and decide they do want to share it, they'll know where it was because they will have seen it because that's where their eye went first. So that'd be the reason for that. All right, I think we're out of time. She's waving the time sign at me. I'm sorry I talk all day, but That's where we're at. Anyway, I'll stick around if you guys have other questions, and we can chat about that later. Thank you very much for coming out.